In today's video, you are going to learn how I position myself to be the expert even when talking to the most awkward, difficult arsehole clients, or potential clients if you like, and turning them into pussycat clients eventually by positioning myself as the expert in this field, in their industry, so they look at me for guidance, right? And almost fall in line psychologically, and melt into a position where they're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, please tell me, because you obviously know your stuff. Almost thinking like when you see someone in uniform, right? We fall into line a little bit, right? The authority is just there, and I think of myself when I was a kid, when I used to see doctors and stuff, it's like you just fall into that position and you let them lead. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. And I'll show you how to do that with a very, very simple 3-step process. So let's jump into this. Now, my name is Jay Cruz, and I help agencies to scale very quickly by removing the awkwardness when it comes to conversations, automating the delivery of very special digital products. In step 1, we're talking about buzzwords and the importance of them and knowing how to refer to, or how your prospects are referring to their clients and how they speak in the vernacular. You tie that in with status alignment, right? Framing yourself as an expert, just like I do, by showing that you know what you're talking about when it comes to actually getting bums on seats online and traffic. And then finally tied into the one big insight in order to deliver on the top 2 there. And you do this to disarm and turn even the biggest arseholes into pussycat clients, which is what I do a lot and have done over the years. And it comes down to this. Let's talk about this because the power of a relevant insider story can change everything for you from the get-go, before you've even got into what you do and how it works. Yeah. And the way that you approach this, I'll go into in a second. But if you do this correctly, you can build instant credibility, because you're not only showing that you know what you're talking about, but it's very, very apparent without you having to say it. Most importantly, there's nothing worse than saying, "Hey, I know what I'm saying and I know what I'm talking about," but because anyone can say that. But if you're demonstrating it, then that's of course infinitely more powerful. Secondly, then, if you do this properly, you show that you're busy, you're desirable, and people want what you have, so it must work, right? If you think about desirability, go all the way back down to basic psychology. A restaurant that's really, really busy and has got a queue outside the door is the one that we always want to visit, right? Not the one that's got hardly anybody in there, because you connect value to scarcity. It's just the way that we work. And it makes sense, because if a restaurant delivers over and over again, the food must be good, the chef must be good, the process, the operations must be good in order to have that consistency, which is why people keep coming back, right? And finally, then, you understand them and their needs and frustrations. This is everything, in my opinion, when it comes to the beginning of this relationship that we're building with a prospect, yeah? Because you understand them and you show them that you understand their frustrations. And typically, if you think about someone who really understands you, that feeling that you get, you always think, well, what do you think I should do in a personal situation, And that's what prospects will do. If you do this properly, they'll look to you for leadership and guidance, because if you understand their problem properly, you're probably likely going to understand what needs to be done as a solution, right? So 3-step structure. Again, the power of 3. 3 is the magic number. We've got number 1 is to validate their issue. So you validate what they're thinking, what they're feeling, their issue, and thank them for being open. You then fascinate by saying, by the way, do you know? And do you know XYZ? So this is a business that you might have spoken to recently. And then finally, you deliver your industry insight. And you can say something like, well, they had XY issue, and wanted to do XYZ to fix it, but I recommended ABC, right? Which is really, really important. I kind of went into a sneak preview of the next lesson. So let me apply this as a really quick example, because I was speaking to an optician not too long ago. Again, keeping with in that industry and niche, just to keep things simple, right? So, and of course we work with businesses in lots of different industries, but just for the sake of simplicity, I was speaking to an optician and I had said something like, because they were talking about opening up a new practice. Yeah. And they said, well, we want to open up a new practice. We're a little bit worried about the online space because will we have to consolidate our websites, or do I have to build another website? I'll have to add a location and people won't probably know who we are in that area. So will Google respond and things like this? And then I simply showed an example and said, actually, I was speaking to, do you know Maverick and Wolf? Now, I know that Maverick and Wolf is quite a big, well-known opticians in the UK, and the UK market's quite small, right? So in the US or anywhere else around the world, it might be slightly different because of the distances from California to New York or East Coast, West Coast is massive. So if you mention a business in the West Coast, if you're in East, then they might not know who you're talking about. So always use vicinities, so to make sure that they know who they are. For example, if I said, oh, you've probably heard of McDonald's, obviously they have. So always lean into a strength and knowing that they'll know them. In this instant, I knew that they'd know who Maverick and Wolf were because they're, quite a big, well-known opticians that have got multiple locations. So I said, they're actually opening up in Knightsbridge, London. Knightsbridge is one of the most exclusive parts of London, right? Lots of people from all around the world, particularly in the Arab world, come over and bring their wealth, right? So anyway, and that's where Harrods is as well, by the way, if you've heard of Harrods, the luxury store in London. So anyway, they obviously said, yes, I have. Or if they said, no, I haven't, I'd be like, oh, you haven't heard of Maverick and Wolf? Interesting, because they're doing really doing some cool stuff. Anyway, they're opening up a store in Knightsbridge. And so we had a chat with them. They wanted to do some work with us. And so what I did was, I actually said to the guy, look, don't worry, we can actually do some foundational content for you and target it locally to Knightsbridge, because he hadn't had a practice there, right? So there's no physical location. And the interesting thing is, I'll just show you quickly. So if I type in this here, if you type in luxury sunglasses, Knightsbridge, and at this point I'll be like, hey, do you mind if I really quickly show you the screen? Is that cool? They might say, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I'll be like, right, okay. Because obviously you're about to show them something they don't know, right? And then I'd say something like, okay, well, here's the interesting thing you can see on the screen. By the way, Tom Davies, have you heard of them? You might not have, I don't know, because you're maybe not based around this area. But Tom Davies is a really, really big bespoke eyewear business. And they are the biggest competitor for Maverick and Wolf in this area, right? So Maverick and Wolf want to take over their turf. And if I scroll down, you can see 2 pieces of content here on the front page, right? And what's interesting about that is both of these pieces of content are actually content that we've created, super targeted. You can see we're on Yahoo Finance. It links back to their website, nice images. Same with this one, right? Nice image, links back to their website and all this kind of stuff. And if I scroll down, you can see they're actually ranking on the front page already now because we've done that foundational content. And I don't even think they've launched the store yet, right? And if I go down, you can see, look, they're outranking Tom Davies here at least, but they're getting really, really good traction. Yeah. And actually, look, that's us again. Wow, funny that, and I can open that up because we distribute to Pinterest as well. Outranking Harrods here, and on we go, right? So, and I might open this up and say, oh, look, Maverick and Wolf again. This is a piece we did because we distribute content in lots of different formats, and we're very targeted in that. Anyway, so that's what we did. So if you are opening up in a new area, if you do this correctly, and you create the right pieces of content that are super targeted, you cover the right topics and all this kind of stuff, then yeah, we can definitely talk about that. But the reason I'm sharing that with you is because they had the same anxiety. And I recommended that we launch a couple of campaigns that were hyper targeted to Knightsbridge in the London area. And we got the traction for that. And we were focusing on luxury sunglasses because, you've got lots of people around that area that want to buy luxury sunglasses, and these guys offer that service, right? Now, what have I done? I validated because I'm like, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm fascinated because I'm saying, oh, by the way, do you know XYZ? So now they're like, well, should I? And then I've delivered the industry insight. All of that together, bam, it shows I know what I'm talking about. I'm busy because I'm chatting to actual prospective clients within their niche, right? And I'm able to deliver the service, which I'm basically going to be offering them, but it's in action. Now, your examples might be completely different. It depends on what you offer and how that works. But just by, coming up with an industry insight like that can be massive. And it could be anything. That's just one example. Another example might be, oh, well, like if an optician says something like, well, I don't want to bring in, like I mentioned before, just any old people. So if you're going to get more people through the door, I'm not interested. I want the right people. And then I'll say, yes, absolutely. I get where you're coming from, because what's interesting, and by the way, have you heard of the iCube? Have you heard of the iCube at all? Maybe not. They're doing relatively well in West Hampstead and the area of London. And then they might say yes or no. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. The point is, they had the same issue, they said to me exactly the same thing. Jay, we want people to come in. So I want to increase my eye tests from 5 to around 10, but I'm not really interested in opening up a new testing room. I'd rather stick between 5 and 10, but just the right people who are going to come in and spend more. So I'm getting more from less people. And that's exactly what we can do because we offer that. And I explained this to him, broke it down and showed him the strategy. And so I recommended that, which was quite interesting. So hopefully that was helpful. Okay. And that's that. So if you liked what you saw and heard today, then please feel free to like, subscribe, of course, but also share this information if you think it will help anybody else. All right. And if you want to find out a little bit more about what we do and how we automate the entire process when it comes to fulfilling for clients and offering a digital service that you can charge a lot of money for, that's completely automated. And you can then focus on just stacking and scaling your recurring income. Everything else is automated and delivered, all right, on your behalf. Then please check out DropServe.ai and watch out for some more videos that are going to be relevant to what you're looking for and what you're looking to achieve. Thank you.